Hello, it's Artisan Crafter Amy, and I'm here with a really fun project. What I thought we could do today is we could take some of the products and everything that came in my monthly G45 card kit for volume 2022, volume 2 for February. I want to make a couple of the ones they have in here, don't get me wrong. But what I wanted to do was kind of to try my own hand and see what I could do with the stuff that was included in the card kit. And here's one of the ideas that I had. If you didn't get the club kit, I think it's still available. You can buy it as a kit. You definitely need the 8x8 pad, and I think I've come up with workarounds for any, if you just can get your hands on the 8x8 pad, you'll be okay. If you also have these cute little keys, they're slimline cards. Those are great. The measurements for those are 8.5 inches tall by 7 inches wide, scored down the middle at 3.5 inches. If you wanted to make your own card bases. And then we got a set of the die cuts. I use a few of those, particularly in today's project, but I've come up with a workaround for that as well. I'm going to use some of this lace that I have that I've cut in half to make it not double row of lace, to make it a single row of more narrow lace. We'll need 6 inches of white ribbon. Where's my instructions? Here's our sample of what we're going to do. So here's the envelope. I can't stand to put a beautiful card I've spent a lot of time on into a plain envelope. And then here's the card that I've come up with using the club kit pieces. I like this metal key at the bottom and some of the trim. If you have it, you can use some bling, clear would be fine, as well as the pink. And then I put some of that lace edging on the inside of the card here, so that it hangs out, and we have that cute image there of the stretched Alice with a fussy cut flower. This little white rabbit was the one I put. There's several die cuts you can put on the inside, or as I said, I'll show you in our sample project how to do it if you don't have the die cuts. And then the fussy cut flower there. And then on the back, if you have the heart punch, or the die cuts had hearts punched out, that looks cute, I think. So this is the project. I thought it would be nice. You don't have to just use the blue. I call it contrast paper. There's a couple ways to do this. I have lots of solid colored cardstock. If you had your hands on the patterns and solids for this Alice's Tea Party, so cute. Any color in there, the patterned or the solid side, would look great here as a matting for the envelope and the card. Peach colored cardstock also would look nice. See the color there? I thought it looked nice with this peach I had, so I thought we would do this same one. I said make one exactly like mine. It won't be, actually. We're going to make it with a peach background. Here's the pop-up. We're going to use Alice inside. It's going to be almost exactly the same, though, and then just show you how it looks with some other colors. Any of the other colors, the pink, again, if you have the patterns and solids, or I'm pretty covetous of my main papers and hate to use the B-sides of those, but if you were so willing, you could use this pink heart B-side of that one for a nice pink background. So here's what we're going to need. You'll need some contrast pages, either ones you've picked out of your book, or I used letter size pages. You want to cut a half or a quarter sheet of fussy cut flowers out of this page. I've cut off the name of it. You will want to cut, where are we? This page apart into strips. I've indicated in the instructions the best way to separate them, so that we have a strip like this, for example, that is part of a mechanism in the second card. So like if we're not using it in this project, I have plans for these scraps from this project for other projects already planned, handwritten, ready to go. So we're going to need this one here, Alice here. We're going to use this border here. I have everything in the instructions. Let me go look. I also have them set aside in the cards. I had an option to back some things onto product packaging to keep that out of the landfill. Here we have a Cheez-It box my daughter brought home and gave to me to use. We'll also use this page. We will want, oh my goodness, let's look at our sample again. So if you have the die cuts, you'll want this here. If not, I have a workaround. So we'll want from the cover page, we'll want the Alice Tea Party and both of these horizontal pieces, and I backed those onto card to raise them up. You could also use foam tape. And then for the envelope, we used this one here and a strip of this along the back of the envelope. And then a die cut heart, or if you had your own heart punch, you could punch a heart out of a contrasting color fabric. And if you didn't have the die cut, I would use this little I'm Late. I would cut him out and use him there in the upper left-hand corner. And then it looks like for this project here, we're not actually using this sheet. This sheet comes into play with the second and third projects I had to do. My thought was I could make 2 of the cards that came with the club kit plan, pick my favorite 2, and then do 3 cards of my own design using the same stuff. So let's get to the instructions so I can aid you better, and we can use our reference one to help guide us into making this peach background. It's going to be the same pretty much. So what I've done is in the envelope, I've cut out a bunch of the stuff I knew we were going to need and set it aside. The other thing I did was I went ahead and glued down the matting pieces. So out of what I call contrast paper, and here I give some good ideas. So I'll leave this alone for just a second, pause your film, come up, take a picture of it with your phone on the TV, or, you know, take a little snippet of it so you have the instructions. There's also more instructions on the back, so make sure you get those as well. And then I will be editing these and perfecting them, and I will have the perfected version pasted into the description box as well. You can see I've already started crossing out tools I realized I wasn't going to need and things like that. So what we want to do is we want to cut our papers up first. Let's see. Yeah, optional. You can use the back of the pad, product packaging, 6 inches of white ribbon, an 8-inch piece of thin white lace or crocheted lace. That's optional. For adhesives, glue stick, wet glue, double-sided tape, foam tape, dots or chipboard pieces. For the tools, heart-shaped punch, scissors, corner rounder, and or decorative punch. So Fantasy, cut that apart into strips, or you might have them left over if you did the projects out of order from the way I'm going to be filming them. If you did the waterfall card first, you would have that left over. From the top, yeah, to separate those as I suggested, cut 1/7 by 1 3/4 inch strip from contrast paper. I was left with a piece when I cut apart the cover that was already 1 3/4 inches in length, and that's what we're going to use to make our mechanism piece that's actually going to create the pop-up. And then you want to cut your letter-sized contrast paper to 8 inches in height, which is essentially cutting off 3 or 3 1/4 inches depending on your letter size. You take that piece and set it aside. Then your remaining piece of letter size that's now only 8 inches tall, when you rotate that, you cut it into 3 1/4 inch pieces. That makes those upright. That top inch piece that we cut off horizontally, we want to rotate that down and cut that to 8 1/4 inches. And that's what we use for the envelope. That piece mats the envelope. So it doesn't matter for here, but if we were using a directional or pattern paper like that Patterns and Solids, it would matter that that third piece came from the top, because all of the characters would be going the correct direction. So you end up with all 3 pieces, this piece here, this piece there. This is another way you can end up with, instead of 3 inches, 3 1/4 inches. If you end up with a 3-inch piece, I would just center it, depending again on your size of letter paper. And then I liked that. I could have used that face down and nobody would have known, and my piece still would have been 3 1/4 inches here. And then after we glue the mechanism in, as I'll show you, we'll just glue her down. Anyway, we're ready. Right, so once you've cut that down to letter, you cut it to 3 1/4 pieces. You'll get 2 of those. And then you glue those 2 pieces down to mat the inside and out. Again, the top you cut down to only 8 inches in length, and you use that to decorate the envelope front. Go ahead and just glue all those down right away. Don't wait for that in the instructions. You also want to fussy cut a 1/4 page of the Flowers from Enchanting, as I said, the mechanism. So for that 7-inch long strip that you want to match your matting papers, I think looks best. You wanted that same contrast paper that you used for your matting. You want that 7-inch strip. Do you want that scored at 1/2 inch, 1.5 inch, 3 3/4 inches, and 4 3/4 inches? And what that creates for us is this piece here. And when you work it around, it creates us a nice little rectangle that we're going to use as our pop-up. Now maybe you don't want that much showing. And see how I snipped mine down shorter? You could have it as small as 1 inch tall, depending on what you wanted to put on top. So what you could do is you could then just cut this piece down to as small as 1 inch, or maybe even, I wouldn't go any smaller than 1/2 inch before you glue it all together. And then that will be your pop-up piece. And how the pop-up piece works, you can see I've already glued mine in, is this part where we've glued it together. We want that on the bottom ideally, so nobody has to see that. You know, it's more hidden. And then we will adhere it by putting, after closing this shut, we'll adhere it by adding adhesive here and all across the bottom piece, flattening it out like this. And then you just place it inside the card. I have measured here, I think it was 2.5 inches up from the bottom, but you could even do it wherever you thought looked nice, depending on the width of your piece and your pop-up. And you place it inside the card and then close the card. And what happens is when you open the card, this part will be glued and your whole little piece will pop up. You can also adhere this piece before. I don't like to do that. I found that it works better once your piece is in. You can see if your little character is going to stick out or not. And word to self, that's why the lace ended up getting added, which was a nice advantage. The little trumpet peeked out. So if you're going to use this and not have the lace trim, you'll want to just trim this little edge off of this die cut and move it in so that you don't have to add the lace. Everything will then fit inside. Right? And then, so that's how to do the mechanism. Let's get our pieces and start assembling the cover here. Let's attach this down with, instead of product packaging, as I did here, this time we're going to use the foam tape to speed it up for the video. And my alternate plan, if you don't have the die cuts, is from the cover page, cut aparts. Oops. This one here, if you fussy cut out the Queen of Hearts like this, and I even liked the border at the bottom, then she fits nicely right inside your pop-up card. So if you don't have the die cuts, you didn't get the monthly club kit, that's your option there, to use the Queen of Hearts. And maybe we'll just go ahead and glue that down in this option too. So it's a way to use your monthly club card kit, but also a way to still join in if you didn't get the kit. I'm going to grab my foam adhesive here and put that on the back of the Alice card. And I want her raised up higher than the other 2 elements. And so I'm going to do 2 rows of the foam adhesive tape, or puffy tape as I like to call it, to raise these pieces up. This piece up in the middle a little bit bigger. And another thing we can do, actually, maybe even before that, is if we can find out that trim piece here that I've already cut out, I'm sure. Here we go. You can take that trim piece here. I liked it with the green edge going this way. Let's glue that down and let that get drying while we work on adding our foam adhesives and everything. Yeah, I thought about even adding a new section to my YouTube channel for this, you know, just grouping all these videos together. That jangling you hear is my little dog Buddy running back and forth through the house. He might even bark if he thinks he sees something moving outside. All right, so if you don't have the foam tape, a good way to do this is to back it onto the product packaging, and then again, just double up the layers of product packaging for the pieces you want to be taller, or even just use little scraps of product packaging quilted together across the back to raise it up. That's the way I did this one there. You just want to make sure all around the edges have good support and coverage. You know, all the have really good support and coverage. All right, so we've got this gluing down, and then we're going to adhere this to the center of the card. I can see I got my foam tape a little long there. I'm going to snip that off, remove my backing, and peel this down. There we go. And just the approximate center of the card, like that. And then we want to adhere the key to the front, and again we can have that. This is inside my bottle is our glitter glue, and that actually dries pretty quickly, so we can get that key. I know I included in with my little goodies I had set aside in the envelope. I like that glued across here. You could also add, if you wanted to add more to the front, a little ribbon bow to the key before you glued it down. There's more ways to make this even further embellished and make it more personalized for you. I'm going to let that sit there and start to adhere down while I grab these two other pieces and get those ready. Right here. So I'm going to get some foam tape on the back of these. We have the key gluing down. The other thing we can do while that key is gluing down is we can do a little bit of work on the envelope. Move over to the envelope and work on that, because it'll take more than a minute to glue down that key. I put quite a bit of glue on there. Looks like I went past the edge with the foam tape there again. Or dimensional adhesive, I think I've also heard it called. There we go. So I liked the higher contrast one on top, and the lower, the one that more matched the background pages on the bottom. So I'm going to reverse the order I did them on the blue background on this pink background here, what I did last time, and then I'm going to add a little bit of extra glue to that. The foam tape. Make sure you get that on there straight. When you're using a double-sided tape, it doesn't give you a lot of room. There's no room really to change your mind. If you don't press down hard, you might get a minute to pick it back up. But quite often, it's a instant decision when you glue that down. All right, there that goes. Well, this is drying, and before we start working on the inside, let's go ahead and move the card aside and work on the envelope. We want to make sure we have the envelope with the flap side up. And then this was one of the pieces I had suggested that I'm late. And what I did was I just took a scrap of ribbon and stapled it, looped over to the back to make it somewhat like a tag, since this was like a tag and had a little bit of ribbon. And you can pick the placement that you think looks nice to you. Maybe here, maybe a little further down there. Another area where you can do a little bit of personalization, even making Same instructions I've got here, just like I've changed the paper color. I just love taking one set of instructions on how to do something and then taking a different set of papers, or, you know, mixing and matching pieces. And then the other thing we'd like to do for the front here is to have a little blue heart. If you have a punch, you can punch one of those out, or with the die cuts if you have those. Or if not, go ahead and use one of your fussy cut flowers from the page of Fussy Cut Flowers. I think I like adding one of those up here. Let's do that. We're winging it now. Watch out. And then we're going to glue another little flower here. It's the front of the envelope. And we could have used a fancy corner cutter or rounded the corners on these pieces if we wanted to make it more elaborate. And then for the back of this envelope, what we want to do is we want to take this little piece here and we want to glue that down. You could glue it as a tuck spot on two sides if you wanted to maybe add something in there, or if you were going to put this in a junk journal, which I like to make. A lot of the card things I show you are something I would use, you know, inside a junk journal. So I think I will go ahead and just glue all four sides down, though, because I'm not planning on putting this in a junk journal. Oh, and I didn't have my rag. If you had a, you know, a wet wipe or washable cloth over here, that would be helpful to clean up the, you know, where I've gotten messy with the glue there. Then the other thing we want to do to decorate the top flap of the envelope is to grab this strip here that I had showed you when I showed you the papers. It was one. It also looks cute the other way too. That little strip, isn't that cute? But I like this way. This is what I did. And again, the way I've done this is I have 3 separate cards that I've made. So I haven't used any pieces in making this card that I'll need in the other 2 cards that I have planned. All right, so there it is. These are our 2 envelopes, the original envelope and the one we made together. I think they both look really nice. And then, oh, our Conure Kiwi says hello. Let's come back to our card now that key has had a chance to dry, and it's on there pretty good with that art glitter glue. If you have the bling, go ahead and add that now. Not everybody has that, so this time we're going to skip that step. And we're going to go ahead and open the card. And look at the inside of the right cover. See how we have a fussy cut flower, the growing Alice, and then the lace, which I added after those. Let's add the lace first this time. Make sure you have some fussy cut flowers handy from that quarter page of fussy cut flowers I had you do. Anything that you have left over from that we'll use in the other projects I have figured out. So first, let's go ahead and put the lace down. I'm going to use some art glitter glue to a thin but somewhat wide layer to glue this out. The lace I have is pretty wide and I only want a little bit peeking out the front. So I'm going to put quite a bit down on this inside of the card piece here. Maybe a 1/2 inch inside the card. And then look and see how it looks lined up nicely there. And then now I'm really going to kind of press down with that to get that glued down nicely. That art glitter glue works great for this. The other thing now we want to add is our fussy cut flower and our growing Alice. So here's one of my fussy cut flowers. And where is my little, I did really make a mess of these by sifting through them. My stack of pre-cuts. Oh, here's another fussy cut flower though. Goodness. Sorry about that. I thought I was so ready. And any of the other pieces I had plans for in other projects. Here it is. Here it is. All right. So what we want to do is we want to glue this down first. And then I like to glue this what I call pinning down the corner. So let's do that. I think because we're going over the top of lace, this is a job for our art glitter glue or your favorite wet glue. Because that'll go down over the lace and the paper just nicely. And then we can glue down the flower. I got this pretty close to the edge over the lace this time, so I'm going to use my flower in the lower right hand corner instead of the upper left hand corner. And then let's look at the inside of the other card. It looks like we had a fussy cut flower in the lower right hand corner. So since I have one more of these, thankfully, we won't have to have me cut out anymore. With the singles, I have more cut out, but they weren't single flowers, they were clusters. We'll put another flower there. And then where's our Queen of Hearts that I fussy cut out? I saw her when I was looking for other stuff. Oh, here she is. Okay, so you can take any one of the die cuts will fit, and you might want to just look, make sure that it fits inside. Or this cute little Tea Party Alice would look cute there, and she'll fit inside. We already have Alice on the cover, so I feel just fine with using this one here, and I didn't have her planned for use in any of my other cards. I'm just going to glue down the bottom part, because I know she's going to stick up over this piece that I've put in here already. And then you want to let that dry, maybe sitting it up like this to make sure any glue that's squeezed out didn't accidentally glue your card shut. I'm going to skip that for us just so we can finish. We might want to put a heart on the back of the card. I like decorating the back of the card. If you have a logo stamp or something, you might do that. It doesn't look like I have anything punched here, so I'm going to go ahead and punch one out of this scrap here, and we're going to glue that down, and I think we're all done. I think we'll go back and compare the two and see, but I think we will have completed all of the steps in our instructions here. Put that on there. Again, clean the excess glue off with a towel or rag if you were wise enough to have one nearby. Here's our pop-up element, where the Queen of Hearts will pop up, offering us an angry cup of tea. Or maybe she's just yelling, "Watch out, it's hot!" That's why she looks angry. It's hot. And then here's our cover. I think we did good. Doesn't it look nice in both the peach and the bright blue? And then you could also mix and match your envelopes and things too. Wouldn't this look nice in that envelope? And then this one, I think that's the way I'm going to do it. And then the peach colored envelope I'm going to use with the blue colored card, because I think that looks nice. Well, that's it. This is my Alice in Wonderland Slimline pop-up card instructions, and just another way to use your February 2022 monthly card kit from G45, or just your 8x8 pad and some of your own supplies. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.